But some on the left now calling for federal judge Aileen Cannon to step down from former President Donald Trump's case because she presided over an earlier lawsuit filed by Trump where she made a pro-Trump ruling that was overturned by a panel of conservative appeals court judges.
If I were Judge Cannon, I would voluntarily recuse myself.
This is one of those situations that Judge Cannon really must recuse.
There will be serious questions about whether she has behaved in a way in the course of the Mar-a-Lago search warrant proceedings that so undermines public confidence in her objectivity that she needs to step aside from this case.
It's true. She's going to have enormous power on everything from the timing to admissibility of evidence to an ability to throw out the case. Southern District of Florida saying that it was signed randomly. But why isn't it a good thing that a Trump-appointed judge who seems inclined to be pro-Trump is overseeing it? He can't claim the judge is biased. If she goes off the rails, then let's talk. But Cenk, what is the left doing calling right? She has to recuse herself, what, because she made one ruling that was pro-Trump?
No, she's appointed by Trump. I think
so any Trump appointee, as far as you're concerned. Yeah. So it has to be an Obama or Clinton or Bush.
Bush, Bush.
So it's got to be someone at least 80.
No, but guys, look, this is super obvious. I don't know why you guys are even disputing it. Like, if Biden got a Biden-appointed judge, I'd be like, no, you can't do a Biden-appointed judge. He just appointed her. That would be ridiculous. That's obvious bias. If someone just gave me a giant promotion and a giant raise, yeah, maybe I owe that guy a little bit.
So that would then suggest that any time there's a Trump interest involved or a Biden interest involved, in any way, if that person was appointed by Biden or Trump, can't oversee the case.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, that shows much less faith in federal judges than I have.
Oh, are you kidding me? I mean, look at her last ruling. I have no faith in her at all. It was a total clownish ruling that other conservatives, as you pointed out, overruled overwhelmingly. She doesn't know what she's doing. Well, besides, I mean, look, this one does, look, I would say based on conflict of interest, period, right? But on top of that,
and look, that's at least intellectually honest, right? At least it's intellectually honest to say, I would say anyone who appointed that person can't be. Now, I disagree with that, but the harder argument is the second one, which is, well, she made this ruling that we didn't like, and look, and it was overruled, and it was a terrible ruling, but you don't recuse from the case just because she made a bad ruling.
Well, I'll say two things about that. One, overall, I agree with you. I would never base it on one ruling, because then we're nitpicking every ruling. Having said that, Trump appointed a bunch of clowns that have no business on the bench, and she kind of proved it with that.
By the way,
but I would never rely on
it. But what about the fact that every time a Trump judge refused his arguments in the 2020 election arguments, people could say, well, a Trump judge just said no to Trump's argument, right?
Yeah, so
your point would have been none of those judges should have been overseeing any of those cases. So instead, what we'd have is all Biden and Obama judges, likely, with maybe a couple of Bush thrown in, who were making the rulings about the election. Really? That's what you wanted?
So, yes, I think that it's not the right way to go, and I swear to God, the Republicans will flip the minute if Biden or Hunter Biden is on a case, and if it's a Biden appointment, I guarantee you they'll say conflict of interest.
No, wait, hang on. The judge who's overseeing the New York case donated to get rid of Trump. He gave money. I
totally agree with you. Conflict of interest.
That guy, I think that judge should be out. Right?
I agree.
But that's different. He donated money to make sure Trump doesn't win. And anyway.
Yeah, you can't just go off appointments, I don't think, because then no one would ever be able to preside over any trial. I mean, you'd always have this situation, and the whole job of a judge is to be unbiased.
How often are presidents on trial?
But what about their interests? But again, like my point about the election stuff, I want Trump judges weighing in. I want there to be a sense that the judges who he appointed recognized that the arguments about the 2020 election weren't true. Without that, there is no faith in the justice system.
Democrats always bend over backwards to give Republicans, to be fair. Oh, we'll give Trump the Trump-appointed judge, the crazy Trump-appointed judge. We'll give him this break and that break. Do the Republicans ever return the favor? Never. Not once. No, for God's sake, just stick to principles. Don't cheat. Don't go outside the bounds. But I'm not going to have a person appointed by Trump yesterday trying his case. That's crazy.
Right. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.